do you think research should be focused at this point in terms of energy, in terms of sustainment or the advancement of a new type of energy system, I guess? What do you think? Where do you think the focus should be?
Well, I think that algae oil is probably the wave of the future. It's minuscule at the moment, but basically all the oil on Earth came from algae. Way back when, so they would, they live in the seas, they would die and settle out, and eventually their bodies get compressed, and the oil squeezed out, and becomes our petroleum, rock oil. But it originally came from algae, and it basically it's a form of solar energy capture, but it's very effective. You would not need that much land area in order to capture solar energy and then get the oil extracted from it. It makes a very utilizable fuel. They've been doing some testing with it, and they found out that yes, you can use it for jet engines, and it makes a very good fuel for jets. And so it also makes a good diesel, and you could use it to therefore make gasoline from it if you want to, or just go with diesel. Diesel engines are far more effective than gasoline engines. There are a number of diesel engines out there that give you very good mileage. The Volkswagen's got an excellent one, and other companies do as well.
Now, see that I most certainly agree with. That would be an advantageous endeavor that would have a positive return and a benefit to our society. And I think that would be money well spent.
I agree. I would, if we put the money into that's being spent on CERN, we would very quickly come up with some very viable solutions to our energy crisis. And basically, that's recapturing the carbon footprint that's been released, that we've already released. It recaptures that by growing the fuel or the oil ourselves, instead of continuously releasing this carbon that was captured in ages past.
Yeah, and really anything that would make us more independent at this point, whether it be energy, whether it be monetary, whether it be anything, I think would be to the benefit of us and the American people.
Well, the reason that the world's tallest buildings and all these opulent resorts and so forth are in the Middle East is not because of any great shakes on their part, but because they can afford to hire all the best engineers and all the best everything else, because they've got all this money from all this oil. Because we've been very foolish in that regard, and there's no reason we can't start, turning the tides back the way it should be.
Right. John, you got a question? John King. You're muted.
I would like to ask the doctor if it's possible for the Rumpelstiltskin effect. In other words, would it be possible to take, like, say, a gold atom and smash it into an oxygen atom, and in the implosion create a whole new element entirely? Or transform it to a different element and, say, make lead into gold inside of CERN?
Well, you could do that, but it'd be at a very minuscule rate, because they only use a few million atoms at a time, or a few billion atoms at a time, and make any quantifiable amount. And you make all kinds of other things too. But people have been transmuting elements for almost a century now. That was, the earliest work in nuclear physics was taking an alpha emitter and mixing it with beryllium, and you get neutrons coming out, and then you use those to transmute other elements, and that's how they ended up fissioning uranium. And they found out it didn't transmute it, it fissioned it. But that's a whole other area, and that's actually one of the fields in which I've been actively working is medical physics. We use accelerators every day. Every day we've got 100 medical accelerators around the world, where we take protons and slam them into oxygen atoms and make radioactive fluorine that we use as a radioactive tracers in human studies for detecting cancers and things like that. So that's a very common technique, and anybody who works in that field is aware of that.
So it's entirely possible for, say, a physicist to take lead, put it in CERN, and smash the atoms into something else and make gold. If that's the case, then if it's controlled, then over X amount of years, they could actually let the process build up in a snowball type of effect, and manufacture their own palladium, their own platinum, their own gold, whatever they so desire.
That's conceivable. The problem is the amount of energy it takes to do that is tremendous, because these accelerators require huge magnetic fields, which require large currents, and so there's a huge electric bill associated with that. So it's not cost effective. Yeah, in theory you can, sure.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, Doc, I mean, it's been probably one of the most informative shows that I've had in a long time, seeing as how I have absolutely no idea, or didn't have any idea about CERN or what it did outside of the stuff that I saw on the internet. And I'm very, very glad that you came on tonight and actually helped me understand it a little better. I definitely feel like that it's more of a political type of thing, or more of it's like you say, playing Mr. Wizard with stuff. I do believe that there's a danger, based on what you told me. I think that if you ask me, it's kind of a bad misuse of funds. But at the same time, I'm encouraged by what you said, and in that they're not opening portals to different dimensions and everything like that. So that's at least good. Helps me stay grounded. But I certainly do appreciate you coming on. It certainly does.
To be fair to CERN, why do you invite one of their persons on your show and put me on at the same time, and we'll have a debate?
Hey, you want to know something? I will do that. I'll try like the Dickens to do that. But I'll tell you what, they're kind of elusive.
Well, they know that they do not look good if they are up against someone who knows what they're doing, and is able to tell people about what their subterfuge, basically, on telling the general public, we aren't going to make strangelets, it's not possible, we've proven it's not possible, and then at the same time, we have this little strangelet detector that we've made that we're going to, just in case we do make them anyway. I said, well, what about the risk? There's no risk because we're not going to be making any.
I would like to know how you build something for something you don't know what you're looking for.
The general public, they can get away with getting their funding that way, but it's backfiring on them, I think, now. Back to haunt them.
I think this is just the start of my journey, and I will most certainly take you up on that offer. That I will try and get the steel cage match going between you and the CERN guys, and we'll see what we can do. But folks, on Thursday evening, our next show, Thanksgiving night, we have Kevin Annett coming on the show. As you know, he is an ex-priest who has seen these Canadian atrocities of the Indigenous people of Canada, and he's going to come on to talk about some of the new stuff in his fight against the Vatican. All this and more coming up Thursday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern. Until then, this is Joe Joseph. This is Freedomlink Radio. Have a pleasant evening. Good night, everybody.